Hello, people. Hold on. There's a bit more centered. Right. So, hello, people out there, the internet. You can see I'm wearing a slightly different shirt this time. Hold on. Damn cat. Okay, that's better. All right. Yeah, sorry. Had a few things. I just put it to the left than it needs to be. Just that. All right. Yeah. Anyway, now this now the last video I recorded and uploaded was in regards to continuity lockout and the issues therein. Now this one will be somewhat related to that, but more in dealing with spin-offs and interrelated shows and crossovers between them, because part of the problem is, and a good example is the Arrowverse on the CW with their annual. I want to say it's the week before Thanksgiving. Usually is when they do this. um, with their annual now they just finished their I want to say this past year they did their third one of these, though. And part of the problem is that is that you had to take into account that not everyone who watches a given show is going to watch all the other ones that it shares continuity with, even especially if it's something like, say, and again we're going with the Arrowverse here, but say you're talking about if you're watching, say, the 2015 version of Supergirl, which takes place in an entirely different universe than the other stuff, for the most part anyway, you're not going to necessarily be watching, say, Arrow or The Flash, or especially Legends of Tomorrow, which, now, Legends of Tomorrow was an example of what the hell was the marketing team thinking about that, because you have to remember, people, you have to remember you remember CW marketing team and DC marketing team for that matter. Not everyone is going to be paying attention to everything. I mean, there's one thing that a good example is what happened with a sizable was how do I want to put this, when NASCAR's contract with ESPN ended after the 2014 season. A lot of people, I mean, the sizable amount of the audience for the fall, for the midsummer through through the Thanksgiving audience for ABC and ESPN left with it, and so with and so when and so a good example here um, is the fall 2015 lineup for a lot of their stuff. A lot of people didn't realize they were back yet, and for the most part, with a handful of exceptions, especially if you're dealing with new stuff, you're not going to be paying that much attention to a network that is something you don't watch on a regular basis anyway, or if you don't watch a sister network in this case. So whereas NBC got a huge boost and got a huge platform to air their new to advertise for their new stuff for the past well 3 years now, really. Um, and I'm assuming it's going to happen again this year. Um, ABC, not as much. I mean, we have the mainstays I mean, I think that's a big part of why Nashville suffered the ratings loss it did when it did, because there's obviously the country music and NASCAR connect. There's obviously a connection there, but that's the detail. But yeah, anyway, like I said, just for example, just because you're watching Supergirl, does not mean you're gonna be watching Arrow or The Flash or Legends of Tomorrow, and now Black Lightning is another potential. Was no one, I haven't watched that yet. I don't know. I don't know where that stacks up, honestly. It might be a standalone. It might not. Apparently, they've name dropped Superman and Batman a couple of times, but Lord knows at that point. Yeah, but like it's yeah, but the spin-offs. I mean, another example of a spin-off, not of now. Admittedly, this one did last, then record 10 years. Um, but but um, but another example of a spin-off having a stumbling block early on, because and this one was mostly because it was not they did not advertise it well enough as a spin-off of something else, and they also apparently the writers did not take into account that they were carrying over several characters from the original property to the new to a much larger audience than they probably thought. But that's a detail. Um, let's see, yeah. Let's see what. Oh yeah, but Stargate SG-1 is always used as an example of how not to write a pilot for a spin-off of a movie. Yeah, so that's always fun. Another one is obviously now this one was more this one did a better job of advertising, but Agents of Shield also had the potential to confuse a lot of people. I'm sure in the first season, especially if you didn't realize. But although admittedly in that one they did eventually make it clear. In that case, they did make it clear that it was not meant to be it was not meant to be a standalone. It was constantly tying in with stuff. Um, Although admittedly there were a few stumbling blocks, like with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 not having with it being set in 2014. Yeah. And the show never once touching on the incident in Missouri with Ego trying to take over the world. So there was that. And yeah, I mean, and it's kind of and there's also the fact that you have so much problems with spin-offs. I mean, like a good example here would, and I mentioned this, I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this in the last video was Chicago Fire starting a franchise, and then Chicago PD. Now, admittedly, this one was pretty obvious after a while, but it was pretty obvious that this was a spinoff in hindsight. But the advertising really should have stressed that. It should have said that. It should have said, instead of just saying like from the producers of, it should have said something in the world of. At some point too. I mean, that's another problem with say the 2015 follow-up to the 2015 follow-up series to Minority Report, which failed miserably, as most of you probably know. And that was because they did not. And that was because a big part of that one is that the film came out in 2002. Okay. there was no and there was no major re-release on Blu-ray or DVD or there was no tie-in announcement being available to stream on say Netflix or Hulu or what have you. Um, and and then of course the advertising for the film for the series did not make any real indication that it was a follow up. That a lot of people, myself included, were under the mistaken impression, as it turned out, that it was going to be a full reboot. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Minority Report is not well known. It is clearly, but you have to take into account, geniuses, that it's been so long, and you've had a whole generation come up that has no connection to it, and which would make up a sizable portion of your potential audience. So yeah, there's that. Another problem with spinoffs is like I mentioned this one earlier, but when you have crossovers between something and especially if you're watching something off a DVR, which a lot of us are doing, there's a very good chance that that because people what's the saying that life is what gets in the way when you're busy making other plans. Said yeah. Yeah, that's the saying. I can't remember who said it though, but that's not important right now. The point is, there's a very good chance nowadays that, especially with the way that DVRs work, because the average DVR I think has, I want to say, the potential to store upwards of 200 hours worth of content, and for the most part, while in some cases some cases people do always make an attempt to watch and subsequently purge recordings within a 2 week or so period at most, and to the point that in a lot of cases, for whatever reason, especially something that's not as important to the individual. I mean, in my case, while Supergirl is important to me, so on average, before the spring hiatus that it's currently on, as of this recording, although I think it is coming back either tonight or next Monday, I forget exactly when it was. I know it's coming back sometime in April. That's all I can remember. Yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, the fact that it's not as important because DC is the thing about DC is that while in the '90s it was on top and Marvel was the one struggling. Ever since I want to say, let's say 2002, Marvel's profile has really had a resurgence as of late. I mean, there have been stumbling blocks along the way, of course. I mean, like the 2003 versions of the film versions of the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, and Daredevil, respectively. And then, of course, there was also still. I mean, you had a lot of stuff where there was just no where But now, especially with the MCU being the juggernaut that it is, that I think it's like overall grosses and home media sales and like I think that the MCU is second all time only to Star Trek as far as um, revenue is concerned for a franchise, or it's in the top three. I can't remember if Star Wars. I think it's Star Trek, then Star Wars, and then whereas DC's many. I mean, like I said, because the DC. I mean, like I said, because the DC animated universe, which is as I'm sure most of you know, is which like a Batman animated series, Superman the animated series, um, Batman and Superman Adventures. I think it was Batman and Superman Adventures. And then you had then what was it? Oh yes, then you had the Batman Beyond and the two Justice League series. Because officially, well, most people consider them to be the Justice JLU to be the same, to be the same thing. Officially, they are separate shows. Apparently, I don't personally care about that particular detail. I'm just pointing it out because some people are sticklers for it. And sadly, said people are the ones in charge of the, or sadly, those said people include the board of directors at Warner Brothers Animation. But yeah, I mean, but now that but part of the problem, I said I just prefer Marvel more so than DC, at least at this point in my life, and it's because of the fact that, and I think that, yeah, I mean, I guess it's really gotten to the point where, and then of course you have stuff where, and that's one thing I'm looking for. One thing I'm looking forward to is, how do I want to put this? I mean, like I said, and one thing which is going to be fun is, and next year when you get Disney is going to have that launch of that in-house streaming service, which means you're going to get a lot of their old stuff, stuff you haven't seen in years. I mean, and I'm assuming that also includes the Marvel stuff, for, like the Spider-Man animated TV series, all of those, and possibly all the Fantastic Four stuff, is going to be on there. Lord knows the X-Men need to be on there because that's gonna be fun. to be able to find that, well, be able to watch that again. And then of course you have all the Winnie the Pooh adaptations and spin-offs, and then of course you also have the DuckTales spin-offs and all that gummy stuff. And Tailspin is gonna be fun too. You're gonna watch that in full. And another thing, now I haven't actually watched this yet, though it has released the first season anyway. What now? I'm not sure because I've been seeing different things. I mean, some people are saying it's a follow up. Some are saying it's a full on reboot. Some are saying it's a spin off. And some say it's some combination thereof. But reboot the Guardian Code. I mean, reboot is that was a big part of my childhood. I mean, admittedly, I did not get. I was too young to watch the ABC era seasons, though I did catch the reruns on Cartoon Network for the first, I want to say, 2 seasons. Yeah, that was it. And that was fun. I mean, yeah, I mean, part of the problem with that one is that, and the thing is, I mean, like I said, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it at some point. I might even start watching it today. But the thing is, it's been so long. I mean, like the let's see what we had two what was it, three? No, it was two. The two direct to DVD movies which were eventually split into episodes and released as season 4 of Reboot. Those came out, I want to say, when was it? I think 2001. I forget. But yeah, like I said, here we are in 2018, and now Netflix did secure the U.S. and I think also U.K. Rights to the release for the reboot the Guardian Code. So where the hell is the original series? I know it does. I know it looks like crap nowadays, but still, I mean, where the hell is it? I mean, you can get it on Amazon, but it's not cheap. You can buy it through Amazon. You can buy the box set through Amazon, but it will run you. Well, I think it's like $80. I forget. One of those I can't really afford that right now. But anyway, my birthday's coming up, so I'm going to wait until after that. Anyway, But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's Mike, the TV. I mean, there were so many different. 99, 99, 99. Yeah, I mean, if they don't bring him back, it's going to be a very interesting show. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, and the fact that, but still, I mean, what I've seen with the trailer, for the first season, I think that probably it does look like it's a follow up series, which I mean, that's great. That's good. It's gonna be fun. Yeah. Now, if they could only just, now if they can only get, I mean, now it's assuming, of course, that the voice, Megabyte's voice in the trailer is the final voice for the series. I don't know. I mean, I guess I haven't watched it yet. But they didn't even. But I'm sure they're probably going to justify it at some point, even if it is indeed a follow up and not a reboot. Of reboot. Yeah, a reboot. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, spinoffs are great and all, but sometimes they really need to have the marketing teams behind them really need to realize that just because people are aware of a given show, they're not going. You have to remember to advertise it as if it's connected to something else. You need to advertise it at connection because especially if it's something that hasn't been around, that's either hard to find or what have you. Like, hello, what do you want? In case you're wondering, that's my old mattress back there. We haven't disposed of it yet, even though today is Father's Day. I don't know what. Yeah, the cats just love those things. They love climbing on things and all that stuff. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. I mean, another yeah. So there's that, and yeah. So that's it. I mean, like I said, there are some things which, as spin-offs are great and all, but you really need to advertise that fact because just because someone's watching something does not mean you're going to be watching something else or even aware of something else. I mean, if there's going to be a connection, you need to make sure that connection is noted. Right, Cassie? Yes. Yes, this is Cassie. This is her tail. Yeah. Cassie is one of the is the other cats we have. Yes. Yes, just say hello. Come on. All right, no. She just jumped onto the TV stand. All right. So yeah. um. Oh boy. What's it? Oh yes. Yeah, like I said, so spin-offs, good, bad. Um. Sometimes they can be handled well. Sometimes they aren't. Right. So I'll make some more of it. I'm sure I'll talk about this more. But yeah, like I said, and as always, please like, share, and hopefully please like and share and point other people in my direction. Um, and if you want to, you can subscribe. All right. So thank you, and signing off right now.